there.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. So we have a few people in the chat. Not sure who's here yet. Let us know if you're here so we can make sure everything's working right.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Pizza Little Homestead.
Yay. Right off the bat this week.
Hi, Emily. We're doing good. How are you? Kira? So did it at least pop up on the right stream this time? Was it was it on the placeholder for the live? Because it was acting like it was going to mess up again, but then it started working.
Yeah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello. All right. Looks like we're working right. We'll give everybody a few minutes to get in here. So how is everyone doing today?
Alrighty. So Kira, did it work on the placeholder? Did it automatically pop up? Did we get our problems fixed, or did you have to go find this on another stream? Hi, Lone Star Living. Worked fine. Good.
Good.
All right. Because I wasn't sure it was going to.
I know. Last week we had such a rough start getting on here, so we wanted to make sure everything was working.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like it was working. It was giving us saying that the stream was bad, and took a little while for it to pop up. So
Yeah, perfect.
all right.
Pink Red Apple Yard, hello, welcome.
Piper Homestead, how are you?
Southern Colorado. Is the weather nice there?
Probably a little cooler than here.
Yeah, it's hot in Oklahoma again. We got teased with a couple of really nice days, but it went away.
Yeah, I
We
guess
knew it would. It's July.
humidity's coming back tomorrow. I guess there's a chance of rain tomorrow, which would be good. The gardens could use a little bit of rain, so that wouldn't be too bad. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much we'll get, but it's forecasted to get a little bit, but then just warm and muggy the rest of the week. So
Oh, sorry, Kira. Just had a headache all day.
nope.
That's no fun at all.
Deborah's hiding from smoke. That's a big fire.
Oh, yuck.
Well, hopefully the wind will turn and blow the smoke away from you. So, all right. Well, looks like we got a few people in here. So glad everybody could join us, and glad we could get started on time this week instead of 20 minutes late like last time. Appreciate everybody sticking around last week that did, and sorry about the technical difficulties. And I think we're getting a hang of this little integration thing we're dealing with here. So hopefully it'll work fine from now on. So right towards the end of the live stream last week, somebody asked, and I can't remember who it was. Did you write it down? I told you to write it down.
You did, and I didn't.
So at least remembered the question. Don't remember who asked it. Joanne Height.
Met us at Baker Creek.
So somebody asked us what our favorite garden tool or tools.
Tools, yeah. So we're going to talk garden tools this week.
Yep. So we'll cover that a little bit, and if you have any questions, be sure and put them in all caps so we can see them, and we'll talk about the garden tools here a little bit, but we'll try to answer any questions that come up too. So
yeah, I mean, we'll start out with a topic, but if questions take us another way, that's great, because we're here to talk with everybody. And
and we'll try to answer any questions we can, and we can just sit and chat too. So but I'll let you start.
We can start with the tool.
Sure.
All right. This is my favorite garden tool. It is the Rogue, right?
Yep. It's called the hand garden hoe.
Yes.
So they have a garden hoe, which we have that one also.
We do.
It has
the
a
same
long handle.
Yeah.
And then this is the hand garden hoe. Their website is Rogue, ROGUE, hoe, HOE.com. And they make a lot of different tools. little scuffle hose, stuff like that. But this is our favorite, especially with our garden. As you see in our videos, there's a lot of wood chips, a lot of stuff in there, so it makes digging in there easy for planting or whatever else. So it's you can see here, it's got a pretty good edge on it, so it can be resharpened.
Yep.
Again, this one has a 15 or so inch handle. I think they advertise 15 and a half. The other one, I don't know. It's
like 5.
It's at least 5 foot.
Yeah, it's a long.
Yeah, it's a long handle, and I prefer the other one because been over for a long period of times. I've got a pinched nerve in my neck, so it kind of aggravates that. So if I can stand up, we're going to be doing this for a while. It's not. I don't use it so much for planting, but whatever other use, I can stand up and do it. So.
That's a great thing about this one. You can use it for planting, especially as we have all the wood chips in the garden. So it's really good to get in there and dig in, but you can use it for, weeding, cleaning around the plants that you already have.
Yeah, just cultivating around stuff. We use it to, say when we're digging up comfrey or something to propagate, you can use it to loosen up the ground around it and dig that up. It's got all kinds of uses, so it can get into little tighter spots being narrow. Again, it's about 3.5 inches wide. Go to last Saturday. Okay, I thought Sharon was leaving. I want to say bye if he's leaving, but you're not. So good deal. All right. So this is her favorite.
Yes. I use it for everything.
Yeah, use it quite a bit. Pretty much get it out every time we're in the garden for something. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Janet.
Welcome. Hopefully your internet holds up. So, so we actually bought this at Mother Earth News Fair in Topeka several years ago, and then the next year, the year after, we bought the long one. So it's been really handy. And again, they've got lots of different tools, and they all seem like they're all very robust. And that scuffle hoe, I thought about it, but we have a stirrup hoe that we use, and it still works fine if we need something like that. So,
hi, Josh.
Josh Gannon. So, I don't know if I really have a favorite. Probably my favorite tool for garden improvement is also one of my least favorite. And by saying that, you could probably guess what it is. We didn't talk about this in advance.
No.
What would be the most effective but least favorite tool to use?
Your tiller?
No.
No.
Of an established garden. The broad fork.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we have a
I don't
meadow.
mind using that.
See, I do the Meadow Creature broad fork. I don't. I mean, it's not the physical part of it that's my least favorite. I have kind of a short attention span. So, in the ground, pull it back.
Repeat.
6 to 8 inches more, do it again, and just keep going through the whole garden. I mean, I guess it gives you some time to kind of get in your own head and think about things or whatever, but it can get kind of monotonous for me sometimes if we're doing a large area. Like I said, it's extremely effective, and it's a great tool to have, and it's a great workout too, especially if you're breaking new ground with it.
I don't mind it one bit.
Yeah,
it's good.
That's good to know. So
wait.
So
tractor.
Yeah.
Kira.
I do like the tractor.
He does like the tractor a lot.
It can also be the wrong tool at times.
I would say that's probably your favorite, right?
So, yeah, and she's still wanting me to come up there.
Yeah, she wants us to
She's
bring
probably
it
actually got that job done by now. So, but yeah, so the broad fork, as far as an effective tool, to accomplish kind of what we're after, it's one of the better ones to kind of loosen that soil down deep without tearing up the structure of the soil. It aerates it. It'll let water get down in there, and it serves a good purpose. It's also good for harvesting. Like when we're harvesting potatoes, we'll go through down the sides and reach underneath the potato plants and kind of pull up, and not so much to harvest it itself, but to loosen all that ground up, and then it makes it a lot easier to dig them with a digging fork. So that if we've actually used it. We had a tree that died, a fruit tree, and I used that, went under it, and
just to loosen the
yeah,
soil
kind
up,
of
to make
loosened
it
it up
easier to
and
dig
just
that out.
dang near pried it out of the ground with it. Again, we've got the Meadow Creature brand, and it is a heavy duty sucker. So
Yeah.
it's
a great investment, a great
Yeah,
tool.
they're not cheap.
It's not going to wear out.
They're probably close to $300 or more. I don't remember what we paid for it
yeah.
a few years ago, but they are well built, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can if we're breaking new ground and I have to really get on it, and I can lift myself off the ground on it, I have no concerns about it failing or bending tines or anything like that. So what you don't want to do with a broad fork, though, is if you're having trouble getting it in the ground, is rock it side to side and try to work it down in, because then you can bend your tines, and it really doesn't matter what brand you have then, that that shearing side to side, you could tear it up, especially the ones that have more of a rod style tine. What you want to do is kind of rock it back and forth as you're standing on it and get it to drive down in the ground. So when you've got soil that's never been worked, and you're using a broad fork for the first time, it can be kind of hard to get it to drive down in the ground, because if you've got a hard pan, definitely don't do it side to side. Rock it back and forth, front to back, while you're standing on it, and it'll get down in there. And then ours has 14-inch long tines, so you can really get down deep. In fact, you can get deep enough that when you pull on it, you can cut a phone line in half. So
'cause you did that.
I did that. found the bedrock. Actually found the edge of the bedrock, and there was a phone line right over it, about 3 inches deep. Yeah, that killed our internet. So we had to go to an aerial after that.
Yeah. Hi, Mimsy's Garden. I'm glad you're listening in.
Yeah.
So she's working in the garden still, but she's
All right.
listening.
Good deal. Hey, if you need another garden to weed, I can message you an address.
We have plenty of space.
So.
Kathy asked about a deer fence. How tall to keep the deer from jumping over?
So deer
Josh
can jump a pretty tall fence. Most places, if they're trying to high fence deer in, they go at least 8 foot tall, and I think there's still a chance they can get over it. I think what's more effective is a dual fence.
The double deer fence.
The double deer fence. So you've got 2 fences. Depending on how big of an area you're wanting to fence, it could get expensive pretty quick, but it's a big investment, or it's a good investment. So if you put 2 rows of fence around your garden, at least 4 foot tall, or maybe a little more, put them a few feet apart. You can actually use that as a chicken moat also. Yep. And that can be part of the run for your chickens, and they work around that. They'll eat bugs, they'll eat the grass and the weeds and everything that try to creep in. And if it's tall enough and deer can see that there's more than one barrier there, they usually won't test it.
It throws them off, doesn't it?
Yeah,
when there's either 2, or if it's
or if it's angled,
then
so
they have it.
If they come up on a fence that's angled towards them, it kind of throws off their. I don't know if it really throws off their depth perception or what, but they're less likely to try to jump it. So, it's one of those things that's going to cost a little more to keep them out. There's always people use screamers, or I've heard of people putting going to the barber shop or something and getting all the floor sweepings of the human hair and putting it in stockings or something and hanging it around. And I don't know how long that would last, if it's really effective or not, but it's an idea. There's a lot of things out there, but definitely on the fence, to have multiple purposes, multiple uses. That double deer fence used as a chicken moat around the garden, which is kind of like what we have. Yeah. Our fences are closer together, and then we have the chicken tunnel with the privacy fence behind it, and we have deer around here, and we've had tracks through the yard. I think a dog was spooking one time and ran one through, but we've never had any get in the garden. We've had them in the front yard, and I've seen them over in the yard where the community garden is out front. I haven't seen any in there since we put the garden in. Doesn't mean they can't or won't, but we haven't seen any damage from them. So I would try that. Why? She's in southeast Mississippi. Heat and humidity, 30 by 60. Yeah, I bet
You are Superwoman.
I bet it's nice and sweaty down in southeast
I don't last
Mississippi.
long in the heat and humidity. I don't.
Yeah. I triple B. Birds and cats. So yeah, if it's not your cats, which our cat is in the garden, we're okay with.
She kills the birds.
She does.
And the rabbits. And the
She's good at taking care of the things we don't want in the garden, the
Yeah.
rabbits and mice in the barn, and she has caught birds too.
She has. She's got birds, rabbits, mice.
We've got a litter box in the barn right there adjacent to the garden. I haven't seen evidence of her, using the garden as a litter box.
I mean, to the cat, it wouldn't go past her, but I haven't noticed it at all.
It was a concern.
She usually goes right for the litter box.
Yeah, so I haven't had any problems with that. If she doesn't dig up plants, or she hasn't messed with anything. She hunts in the garden a lot. She'll hide underneath stuff in the shade, and she does pretty good. But,
yeah. Yeah, it's tough, Mimsy. Just saying it's tough. I know. Yep. You're tougher than I am. I've been avoiding the heat. Actually, I've been inside. I've been working all day. Like
harvested bell peppers midday.
Well over 100. I lost count of the peppers. Yeah.
That was midday. It was around lunchtime.
Yeah, just before that.
So.
And then chopped them to get them ready to freeze. So I spent about 3 hours working on bell peppers today.
Yeah. I waited till about the time she was finished and asked her if she wanted one of those bell pepper choppers. Has the grate of cutters, and it seems like it's a waste, and you can't see the value in it until you know what the alternative is, right?
So you just chopped over 100 peppers. Yeah.
So, yeah, Kira.
I don't know.
Well, I think I know why.
Why?
It's raised beds.
It's raised beds.
Looks like a bunch of litter boxes. So, who was it? Somebody? Oh, it was maybe it was Jim that told her that. So
I really think that the reason we got lucky with our cat is because when we first brought her here, we kept her locked in the barn for 2 weeks, so she would know that was her home, and she got used to her litter box and her food and her water, and just so she would kind of know where home was. And then we started letting her venture out. So I think that might have been what helped us.
Yeah. Well, Josh, I can say we don't have kangaroos to deal with, so.
Yeah, I don't know how to help you with the kangaroos.
Yeah. Maybe you could harvest and use their pouch, train them to bring the stuff in. So.
I have no idea. I'm at a loss for that one.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, though. Like, me and animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be neat. Kangaroos.
We haven't had a lot of animal problems in the garden. I mean, we had problems with rabbits till we got the cat.
Yeah, and then our own chicken until we clipped their wings.
Yeah.
That was eating all of our tomatoes. But
yeah. So.
Rabbits have always been our biggest pest.
Yeah, and we still see some, but I don't tend to see them in the garden.
Not really. Now that the cat's in the garden and all over the yard, they kind of stay out.
Yeah.
I haven't had that really had that issue, so we're kind of.
Yeah, and that's even with we lock her up at night in the barn. We close her up in there. She doesn't have free range at night, so I don't know if just her being in the garden all day, leaving scent or something, keeps them out of there, because we don't really see evidence that they were in there at night eating on anything. So. Yeah. I guess if we started having problems at night and we were losing plants, we might consider
just
leaving her access all night. But at this point, it hadn't really been an issue. Usually, all the other cats around tend to come around late at night, and so that's why we were kind of locking her up. She's a little smaller.
She's tiny.
So
she's adorable.
I didn't want to listen to cat fights and all that in the middle of the night while we're trying to sleep. So just having her locked up, if the cats come by, they seem to just pass right on through. So.
Josh said he's going to put good fencing up and they eat the roofs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole different world. Yeah, that's what do they taste like? That's what I'm kind of curious too. I'm sitting here thinking, what is kangaroo like?
Probably chewy.
Funny. Oh, Joanne says that I should get the chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, after like I said, 100 plus peppers today, and we have way more coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's,
there's
at least, there's 100 and, well, there was 114 plants.
There's 106.
So 106 plants.
Yeah, after planting
and there's at least a half dozen peppers, or close to half dozen peppers on each of them.
Oh, yeah.
Plus more blossoms.
Right.
And
yeah.
So that basically worked out to one pepper per plant. So
yeah,
there's a lot coming.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the chopper might be a great idea. Because that took forever. I spent 3 hours messing with those peppers today.
Ecocentric, I saw your comment on the video about the comfrey being good animal feed, and in the follow-up video I talked about our choice of why we chose Bocking 14 versus Bocking 4 and the difference in production and why we don't target it for animal fodder. We use it. I mean, we don't. We selectively let chickens have access to it. So I don't know if you saw that on that follow-up video, but I did see your comment there, and that was a good thing to point out. I wouldn't have addressed our perspective and our selection on that had I not seen your comment. So appreciate that comment. So.
Yeah, when we do the chop and drop, I mean, mostly we use it for the fertilizer. That's just what we use it for. But then we also do give some of the extras to the chickens.
Yeah, and
they love it. It's just kind of for them a little treat.
When we bring them through the garden, in little sections and work them through, sometimes we'll keep them from getting to the comfrey, and other times we'll actually, circle in part of it and let them have access to it. We don't give them access to the whole thing at once when there's a lot of comfrey growing. But and if we don't electrify the fence, they'll push, they'll test the fence eventually until they figure out that it's not hot.
It's the first thing they go for.
Yeah, they go after the comfrey. So
yeah. They'll eat it before they'll clean any other area.
Yeah.
So if we let them have access to that, that's what they're eating.
Yeah, they do like it. So and we don't have any other animals that we need to use it for. We had quail at one time. We don't have those anymore, and we don't have rabbits or anything. So our personal purpose is really about the nutrients for the garden. It's a good compost starter. It's good chop and drop mulch and fertilizer. We've made compost tea, and put some comfrey in it. We've done several things with it, and it's good. So makes great jerky. Okay, kangaroo, not comfrey.
Yeah, he said up there, he was talking about it, that it's a little gamey but really lean. I don't know where I saw that.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay. Yeah, makes great jerky. Kangaroo jerky.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days we'll have to try that. I'm game to try anything at least once. And then we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some things
Maybe. It might be harder to convince yourself.
There's some things that are pretty standard in certain countries that, I don't know.
I'm sure those same countries look at some of the stuff that we eat here and go,
and I'm not going to knock them. I just, I know there's some countries that like eat dog, and I don't think I could do that.
No.
So,
I like my dog.
But again, that's normal there.
Yeah.
And, who am I to say it's a bad thing? So. Does anybody have any questions? Haven't seen any come across. Hopefully I didn't miss any.
I don't think so, but yeah. Yeah, any questions with, if you came in late, we started talking about favorite tools and tools in the garden. He talked about really liking the broad fork. I talked about my little hand tool, my rogue tool. Sharon's talking about.
So Sharon, let's see here. Didn't water until I watched the last video, then stopped watering tomatoes every 4 days, and the dang leaves finally uncurled and are growing. Okay, so do you think they were overwatered? I mean, usually if that's the case, you'll see yellowing from the bottom up, and it's a pretty good sign. which we've got some definite heat stress on our tomatoes. In fact, some of them are looking like they're ready to come out of the ground.
Yeah, I mean it's the summer heat. Our tomatoes just, it wasn't a very good year because it rained and was cool for so long, and then when they finally really started producing, then it got hot almost right away.
Yeah.
Usually they have that happy period in there where it's a decent temperature and they like to grow, and it just didn't really work out very well this year. I mean, we're getting some, but we're just not like we normally would.
So Joanne and Kira say they're like the hoary. We don't have one. I've got one in our wish list on Amazon. And I've considered ordering one and trying it. I mean, I think there's got to be a lot of good use. It's such a multi-use tool. It's not, not just for digging, to plant or anything. There's a lot of ways to use it. So may get one. I mean, we've made do with the stuff we have, and maybe instead of carrying 2 tools out there, we just carry one. Had one of those. So it's been in my wish list for quite a while.
Yeah.
So
it has. We've talked about it for a long time. We just haven't done it.
Yeah, there's always something else I see. I thought, So, we'll probably end up getting one and trying it. I don't even know the one I put in the wish list. I don't know if it was. I'm not familiar with the brands of them that are best, but it looked like a decent one.
I'll tell you another one I like right now, and it's like I said, it's nothing new. It was in a video not too long ago when I was cleaning up around the peppers, or those grass shears.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So, we put the weed fabric down, and then we gave it about a week before we burnt the holes and planted. But that wasn't near enough to kill off the Bermuda that we covered up. We didn't do anything to prep that ground or anything. We needed to get it going quickly because those peppers needed to come out of the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And we were out of space in other areas. So put the fabric down, waited about a week, burnt the holes. There was still grass under there. It was obviously had been beat down a little bit, but it wasn't in any ways dead. So I actually took one of the bulb planting augers that was just barely smaller than the holes burnt. Used one of the weed flame attachments to burn the holes. Made about a 3-inch hole, 2 3/4 3-inch hole, something like that. I found an auger that was real close in size and just went down through and made holes for the plants. We did it quickly because we had, like I said, about 120 some odd holes.
Yeah.
Because there are a few tomato plants over there also. So we're trying to get done pretty quickly. And after everything had been grown for a while, the grass was coming up around the pepper plants through the extra space in the hole. It's kind of a pain to weed to pull that grass. I mean, it was really more cosmetic than anything. I don't think it was going to matter. When those plants were real small, it could have been kind of stressful for them. But once they were established, it was more just about looks, and decided to go ahead and do something about it and make sure that we weren't creating a long competition because we wanted that high yield this time. So we got some of the little Fiskars grass shears, and she went out there and went to work on that.
It's perfect to get right up real close around the plants, and you don't want to pull because you don't want to,
pull that
mess
grass,
the roots up and tear up the plant or pull the plant out of the ground on accident. So it just works perfect to kind of clean around it.
Yeah, so it's, the cutting edge doesn't go up against the plant, and it works real well. So
yeah. Connie Graves says tomatoes did great in Tulsa area this year and peppers didn't make it at all. That's so interesting. I think that's really interesting about everybody's property because we're right outside of Tulsa ourselves.
Yep.
And our tomatoes are struggling at that. I mean, they're doing okay.
They're doing pretty good.
They're not, for as many plants as we have, we're not getting the production that I would think we should have gotten.
Yeah.
But our peppers we're having an amazing pepper year. So it's so funny how same exact area and just different properties are doing so different.
Also, there may be something to learn about the different areas they're in where the peppers are.
Yeah.
They're on lower ground. They're down near the area that gets a lot of the runoff. And that soil down there, it's okay. It's never been improved. It doesn't have as much clay as, it's got a decent amount of clay, but it doesn't have the clay that where we have the big garden when we started there, because a lot of clay had been introduced to that area. So it's got clay where the peppers are, but it hadn't had a bunch piled on top of there. So it's pretty decent balance in the soil, but it's lower ground. It stays, I don't want to say it doesn't stay wet. It stays wet longer than the garden when we get rain, just because it's down there closer to the water table. Elevation wise, I don't know, it's at least 2 or 3 feet probably, which is a big difference when you're just about at that point a foot above the lowest area. So I don't know. We'll see what there might be some plans in the future for that, where the peppers are this year, some other stuff, and we can compare the performance in 2 different areas.
Yeah, Emily says she's right outside Norman, and she's having the same issue with tomatoes that we had. For us, just with all the wet at first, as much rain as we all got, ours were slow to start. So I think that was the biggest thing. They're slow to, when they did start, they looked really nice, but then the heat came on quickly. So
Andrew White asked, what peppers do we grow? So on the bell peppers, we have the Ozark Giant
and California Wonder.
We didn't do the Keystones this year, did we?
Year.
So.
And then we also have the mini bell peppers because our youngest
the
one
youngest one likes the little mini bells. So she has, I don't know, 10 of those, probably 10 or 15. So that's on the bell peppers. As far as other peppers, we have Craig's Grande Jalapeno. We have
Pumpkin Spice
Jalapeno and Sugar Rush Peach.
Yeah, Sugar Rush Peach.
Which is, I don't know what variety of pepper that's considered. It's a sweet flesh hot seed.
Yeah.
I don't remember what said. All those 3 are from Baker Creek, so you can find those on their website, rareseeds.com. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to try them.
Yeah. So the jalapenos are getting pretty close.
They are. The Craig's. Well, I guess the others probably are too. They just haven't started changing color yet because they're supposed to be like a pumpkin color.
So the jalapenos aren't as big as I kind of expected them to be yet, but they don't show they're getting too mature. So they may be looking like a mature jalapeno, but they're still going to put on some size. So we haven't started harvesting them yet. We're just going to wait and see what happens. They're not getting sun scald or anything like that. After this rain that we're supposed to get tomorrow, they may really jump up in size real quick. We'll have to get them out of there.
Actually wishing for rain again.
Yeah.
It's funny.
All year long we're soaked.
Like, stop raining. And then we knew it would come, though. We knew summer would get here, and we would be kind of hoping for a rainy day.
Yeah. So Kathy's in Iowa. Lots of tomatoes, but not ripened yet. Somebody else was talking about that.
Ours seemed to take a while because our Cherokee purples were green for a long. It seemed like a really long time, and I was wondering when they were going to finally start ripening.
That big pink ponderosa looks like it's about ready to come off now. So
it's huge.
I noticed it today. I was out there, new little camera set up I was messing with, and went out walking around the garden just testing it. And I noticed that big tomato probably gonna need to come in tomorrow. Here it says rain from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Probably not going to be near enough then. Unless it's a heavy line that comes through.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's still working in the garden. So.
Yeah. You're working hard. I did a little outside work today, but I make those short and sweet this time of year. I get out with a certain task in mind, and I get it done as quick as I can and get back inside.
Yeah. Here, this for Anna, it's 50 degrees. You're in the shade. You'll never have to pull these weeds again. So that make it, I know you're working hard, so does that make it easier?
5 acres of hay to cut.
Yeah, I remember the days of working in the hayfield. That wasn't easy. I think every kid should have to work a full summer in the hayfield.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was city girl.
And they should have to do it for a nickel a bell.
Big time city girl, so I had no idea.
Yeah.
Then I met you, and I had to get used to other things.
Yeah. No shopping malls here.
No.
104.
Woo.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I think we made it to about 94.
Yeah, we really haven't had as hot a summer so far. Knock
I
on
mean,
something quickly before.
We've had some pretty hot days, but
yeah, we've had a lot of humid days that have been. It just felt like steam was coming up from the ground. It's hot. Feel the breezes blowing through yours.
You're welcome. So Emily, if you could go ahead and wash your car also.
Yeah,
that ought to help. Wow, Ecocentric, 90 degrees is flirting with a record. There's been a couple mornings where I was leaving for work at 5 in the morning and it was almost 90.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want to flirt with our records.
Yeah. We have a pretty short thermometer in the summer. It's nothing for it to be just 85
and hot
for a low. Hey, Curtis.
Hi, Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody joined us late, we were talking about our favorite tools, and this is the one that I chose. This is my favorite tool. It's a Rogue. I use it for everything. I really do.
That's evidently 99.
Also.
99 is the highest we've had here. Yeah, Curtis, I wouldn't have thought of a linoleum knife. I've got one. It would work good for harvesting, pumpkins and squash, stuff like that off of vines. So,
what do you think of raised ground versus
raised garden beds?
Raised garden beds versus in the ground garden beds? I think it depends on the person and the property.
Yeah.
I think an advantage to the raised garden beds is you can put in whatever soil you want. You can, you are in complete control of what you're starting with. There's obviously the cost of building them, which you can be, you can be really frugal about that too, or go as fancy as you want to go. I've seen really great ideas with the raised beds for anybody with maybe mobility issues, because you can make it at a height where you can sit and make the bed the right size where you can work across it without having to get down and, like you would on a in the ground bed. Yeah. We like our in-ground beds, but we've really worked hard on building the soil with...
and the goal is to have it where it'll flourish without us having to water, and we talked about that in the video, is we don't water that garden. If it were in raised beds, unless we were to get rain every couple of days, I don't think that'd be an option at all.
Right. Yeah, the way we've set ours up with all of the material and everything that we put on it, the wood chips and the constant... inputs that we put into it,
and you really harvesting the rainwater.
Harvesting the rainwater. We have it where we have swells going down the slope, so it catches the rainwater as it's going, and it just soaks into the ground, and we really don't have to water.
Hi, Amy. Welcome.
So yeah, I mean, really, that is a personal preference and a property.
And it's
what's best for the property and what you're growing, I guess.
Well, and it's also kind of the joy of the challenge. Taking an area that was Bermuda lawn. It had about 1 inch of topsoil, and then it was clay for at least a foot, and then poor soil down a little bit more than bedrock, and learning, experimenting, trying different things, and trying to improve it, and being successful at it, and taking that knowledge and that experience other places and accomplishing the same things in different ways. There's a lot of personal satisfaction to say, I took this and it wouldn't produce well. We started off with the very first garden here in that area was 4 by 4 square raised beds. Yeah. It was kind of the square foot gardening. Mm-hmm. And things would grow great because we were in full control of the soil that was in those beds. It just wasn't near enough space for what we needed, even with the intensive gardening. Right. So we expanded from there, and we could have gone full raised beds, but I really wanted to get back in the ground. So at that point, we had to make the commitment to improve the soil, and then it's just about, it's on a slope, and when we first started, we saw a lot of erosion. We had a lot of runoff from the neighbors. It'd come down through there, it would erode our garden. So we started coming in not only to improve the soil with the wood chips, on top and it breaking down and everything else we added, but it also helped slow down a lot of that rain and get it to soak into the garden there and not, run off. Then we come back in with the swells, instead of it going 75 feet across the garden, as it went back and forth and had more time to soak in, it was going several hundred feet of travel before it went out the bottom there, and a lot less runoff. So we still get a little bit of runoff from the area closest to the barn, because it's kind of our walkway there, and it doesn't have a swell or anything. We've got to be able to get a wheelbarrow and everything else up in there. So we haven't solved all of it yet, but the garden proper, where we do the planting, we've made huge strides on capturing that rainwater and eliminating a lot of that runoff and things like that, and it's made a huge difference. So, but she's talking about the difference between raised beds and in the ground, patio garden, the different types of even in-ground gardening, the back to Eden, the square foot gardening, because I don't really consider square foot gardening. I mean, I guess you could go full raised beds, but usually raised beds, I think, I'm thinking at least 18 inches tall or more. Right. Square foot gardening is usually fairly low, 8 to 12 inches at the most. And it's a very intentional planning. It's not kind of traditional planning with at a different elevation. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and they all have their purpose based on the gardener.
Yeah, and like Kara says, expensive to build raised beds. It can be. Really, I mean, honestly, by the time, especially if you're wanting them to look a certain way and you build them a certain way, and then you have to put all the soil in and you do that, it can add up in cost. Yeah. It's also, though, I mean, it's really convenient. It's fast. Yeah. So if you want to start right away, like our garden, that we have done all the work to turn the clay into really great topsoil, and it's taken 3 years to get it to get it to that really good point. So it takes time. So if you're wanting it fast and you don't mind the expense of it, a raised bed is great.
There's nothing to say don't start with one way while you start working on the other way. Have that raised bed garden. If you don't long term see yourself with the raised beds, but you want the garden going now, do a couple of raised beds while you start improving the soil somewhere else, and then transition over or complement or whatever. So Andrew asked, what size property are we on? We're on 1 acre. We don't mess with the front yard. I mean, we have comfrey and stuff in the front, flower bed and some things, but
we have comfrey everywhere.
It's still a Bermuda lawn in the front. We could use it, but we haven't yet. The property's not broke up into exactly quarters, but if we just talk about it in quarters, the amount of ground is a little skewed because the fences aren't exactly straight and square. So that front quarter, if you count the house in the front yard, we're not doing anything with other than we have a little bit of comfrey stuff in the front and some other little plants. The other front quarter, we have the community garden, neighborhood garden area over there, which is downsized from what it was. It's not the whole area, but that's where it's at. Behind the house, we have our main garden, where with the food forest approach, that's where the barn is, and everything else back there. On the other quarter, the last quarter, that's where we do the pastured poultry when we're running those. We'll also put up the portable the poultry net fencing. We'll run our layers around the main garden in the summer. They have access at the side yard, and then once they start to wear that down a little bit, we'll move them over to that the pastured poultry side and create different paddocks there at times. But they always have access back to the barn because we've got alleys behind there and things like that. So may have to do a video that's more focused about kind of an aerial look of how everything's laid out with the fences and what we use it for. So he started putting all these fences in. I thought it was crazy. He's like, what are you doing? But it's actually perfect because we can move things wherever we need them to be. Yeah. So Josh, we use a lot of recycled materials too. I think a couple of videos ago talk about when we're turning the compost and reusing a lot of things. Our compost bins, the cedar ones you see to pull the slats out of, that cedar was actually the walls, the interior walls of my wood shop at the old house. Before we left, took all that cedar that had off of the walls and kept it, and we've built potato boxes. We've done the composting. We've done all kinds of stuff. We've some of those are fence pickets from where we cut part of our privacy fence,
Yep.
cut it to a lower level so we could see over to see the garden. And so yeah, we do the same thing.
Old playpen.
Yeah,
like we just saw in one of our videos.
We reuse everything we can. So
yeah. Well, in our chicken moat or whatever that goes around the garden, it's an old trampoline.
Yeah, our neighbors had a trampoline that they were wanting to get rid of. So we took the fabric off of it, and it's over the extra chicken coop where we'll pull birds off for whatever reason into that one. So it's over the run as a shade cloth, and also helps kind of shed some of the rain. It doesn't stop the rain, but it sheds most of it off the sides. And then we took the frame from the trampoline and modified it a little bit and attached it to the back side of that privacy fence, and that's what made that chicken tunnel that on the back side of that privacy fence, and also it's where the blackberries and the Chickasaw plum and the solar panel, all that is right there in that area. And then speaking of the solar panel's mounted on an old basketball goal, one of the raise and lower goals that we had. It got blown over in a storm, and it broke the backboard and the front and the hoop and stuff. So kind of welded up a frame for that, mounted the solar panel on it, put it in the ground, and now we can raise and lower the solar panel to clean it, and we can adjust the angle of it to maximize the sun angle. So yeah, there's a lot of recycled stuff on our property too. So
there is.
Yeah.
Just reuse everything we can.
Yeah. Acorns are already falling a month early. You think we are going to have an early winter? I hope we have an early fall.
Yeah, fall. Oh, I love fall.
Yeah.
We tend to have to just appreciate the few days of fall we get. Seems like it goes summer, winter.
Yeah. Yeah.
With a couple fall days. I love fall. So yeah, I'm hoping we have a nice fall this year. But I am over the heat already. I guess I kind of get over certain things. But I'm not a big summer person, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the heat. We act surprised every year when it gets hot, and it gets hot every year. So, Andrew, we're in Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma. Yep, and the first chicken coop, the run for it, was an old homemade greenhouse frame. That's right.
Yeah.
It's like a heavy wall pipe top rail that somebody had bent.
Yeah.
To make a frame. So
we just covered it in
hardware it's cloth. Covered. Yeah, it's got hardware cloth, 4-foot hardware cloth around the sides, low, and poultry netting over the top. So, fall garden. Yes, we are planning a fall garden. I was looking at timing on some of that just yesterday, and I actually ordered some shade cloth for the greenhouse. Be here tomorrow.
Yep. So
we'll get some stuff started in the greenhouse. And I'm not going to take the plastic off the greenhouse because it's we have it attached. We don't have it just kind of held down with rope or anything. So we'll just put some. I'm putting some 50% shade cloth over the top to try to help control the temp. We keep the door open and the window opens itself, but it can still get over 100 degrees in there pretty quickly in the morning. So direct sun. It's
hot this time of year.
So we'll be starting some stuff in there for the fall garden. We'll also be direct sowing some seeds in the garden here real quick. So.
Hi there, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
Glad you got to join us.
Yeah, Josh said trampolines make awesome chicken tractors. I've seen a lot of pictures of people using that, leaving the material on top as a shade and wrapping it in poultry netting. So yeah, they do work good.
Yeah.
So we got just about 10 minutes left here. It flew pretty quick. It always
goes fast.
It does. So, Kira, I don't know what we're going to grow. We'll have to. We need to sit down.
I saw your post with all the radishes. She's got a little radish.
Yeah, I saw all your seed packs. So, yeah. So it is about time to get some of those back in there. Yeah. I may wait a couple more weeks, 2 or 3 more weeks at least. That
we might
way,
try the broccoli cauliflower again because we
Yeah.
just don't have a lot of luck with that in the spring. And
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that they have a lot more luck in the fall. So I think we might try to plant some of that again and hopefully have a little better success.
I may just wait on the radishes so that try to get away from the heat a little bit so they don't get hot and pithy real quick, because it's been staying so warm. But probably definitely put some in the ground. So, but otherwise, I'm not sure what all we're gonna put.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, really kind of getting started. Got the shade cloth ordered, like we said, to cover the greenhouse, and we're
Probably start a
just
lot
talking
less
about
in the
what we wanna do.
greenhouse than we did in the spring. So we ended up having to compost a lot of tomato plants. So
Early spring for Josh. I bet they're kind of in the itching for spring, ready for the
Yeah.
winter to go away stage,
Yeah.
which I'm, obviously the other way around. I'm ready for this heat, so
Patty's gonna do radishes, carrots, onions, broccoli, cauliflower. We talked about a fall crop of potatoes because we had a low yield, which I need to look at timing. Those may need to be in the ground really quick if we decide to do that. So
yeah, we might need to get on that.
we need to find a different location for them. So,
Yeah.
I think Kira's dropping a hint.
Kara, have a birthday coming up.
She wants me to drive a tractor up there for her birthday.
Bring the tractor up. Kira's birthday present, tractor.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess we need to figure out what we're going to plant and make sure we got all the seeds we need. So.
We have.
I don't know. We probably need to order a bunch of seeds.
I don't think we do.
We probably do.
We have tons of seeds.
We probably don't have what we need though.
Yeah.
So Janet, what are
Yes.
you planting?
Yeah, what are you planting, Janet? Yeah, I love planting in the greenhouse. The greenhouse in this early spring. And
Hi, Jim.
hello.
Hopefully your rain tanks are full.
Yeah, that's looking good.
Yeah.
That's really nice. How often do we do that? We're live every Sunday at 6.
Yeah, every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central, U.S.
Yeah. I guess I should clarify. We're not like you always think of everyone being right here. So
August 8th for Kira.
August 8th. Oh, she's right there with.
Some of the girls.
We have a ton of family that's got birthdays right now. This is like we were joking. It's kind of our second Christmas time because there's so many of them right now. Yeah.
Well, we got just a few minutes left. Does anybody have any additional questions or anything that we might have missed? I want to try to answer them before we sign off today.
Yeah. We'll be heading over to Roots and Refuge Live this time, right?
At 7 o'clock, we'll be at a Roots and Refuge live stream. Oh, no rain. You'll get some. Like the heat of summer. It'll
that's the way
show
it
up
works,
every year.
isn't it?
Yep, got to cover the brassicas and stuff.
Yes, they tear ours up.
Yep, we cover them. Yep. So, in fact, we've got frost cloth out there that's we haven't picked up. That's needs to be brought in. So.
Yeah.
Sharon, that's Kira's birthday's August 8th.
Janet's planting lots of greens, radishes, beets.
Yeah. Aquaponics, we don't use it. We don't have it. I think it's a good system. I prefer it over hydroponics because of all the external inputs of hydroponics. For the right use, I think it's fine.
I think it's fascinating. It's really neat, but we just haven't tried it. We haven't had.
We don't have a real need for it. I mean, I could do it to kind of experiment with it, and very familiar with how it works, and really like the engineering part of it to make it work. That would be something I think I'd enjoy trying to solve that, and find the balance and make the mechanics of it work. No, it's something we've studied it but have never built one. So got a great hole back there in the ground that we could probably make a big aquaponics setup.
Something.
Yeah.
Or fill it in and put another garden
Pool
bed,
turn
like I
pond,
said.
turn aquaponics greenhouse.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, need to do
I still
something
say
with
we
that.
need to fill it in.
Yeah.
And put another garden, close garden, and fire pit. And
Yeah.
Yeah, aquaponics are neat, Janet.
Yeah.
I really think it's a neat idea. We just haven't tried it. What am I, bug?
No.
No.
Bug pond's not aquaponics.
Nope.
Unless you're eating some of those cannas or something.
Josh has an aquaponics system. Yeah, there's so many things we'd still like to try that we just haven't gotten in yet. One thing at a time.
Yep. Yeah, it's you could tie several systems together. Have a solar system powering your pumps. You could divert some of the water. Use those nutrients for something else. Run it through to tanks to grow duckweed or something to grow feed for other animals. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. Just finding that balance. If you've got too many nutrients for your vegetables that you're growing in the grow beds, you could grow a lot of other things. So it'd be interesting. I don't think we'll ever do it here. But we may do it sometime in the future. So I don't know what scale. Yeah, Kira said we should make the pool a duck pond, natural pond for swimming.
That's a cool idea, but I'm still fighting for the fire pit and garden.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think. It's about 5 till.
We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes. We can answer a couple more questions here.
Indeed.
And.
Need to know if we're going to see Janet in Kansas.
Yeah. Surely Janet will make it to the Mother Earth News Fair. So we won't be.
So they may not be able to.
We had plans to go to the Homesteaders of America conference in October. We're not going now. We will, however, be at the Mother Earth News Fair in Topeka in October. Right now, that's our next scheduled adventure.
Yeah.
Adventure. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's probably the next one with school starting up and
school will be starting
busy,
up.
So we'll probably be hanging around here
about a
that
month.
Point.
So
yeah.
So that'll probably be on. I don't know. You never know. We made some spur of the moment trips.
Yeah.
Try to limit those a little bit, but it just kind of depends on what happens.
Yeah, we're not usually last second planners, but like we did that when we went to North Carolina, and we're like, let's just go.
Yeah, I think.
Who knows?
Less than 2 weeks planning on that.
Yeah.
One, so. Which that's pretty spur of the moment for us.
Jane, I hope so. Yeah. Yes, we'd like to see you again too.
Yeah.
And anyone else who happens to be at the Mother Earth News Fair. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off for the night. And we don't have a video to post tomorrow right now, so it'll probably be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Before the next video's up. We need to make it out to the desert too at some point.
Yes, we do. We need to
get some desert dwellers out this way too. So.
Let them come visit us.
Yeah.
Hey, Kira, if you can't go to HOA, you could always go to Topeka.
Yep.
That's where we'll be. It's not far. It's a whole
it's
lot
like
closer
the
than Virginia.
third weekend of October, I think.
Yep.
Something like the 18th, 19th, somewhere around there. So Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. So. All right. Well, appreciate everybody joining in tonight. Glad everything worked well. We were on time, and glad to see everybody in here. So, again, sorry about last week. Everybody's having to chase us around trying to find the stream that actually worked, but
we got it though.
We got to work this time. So everybody have a good evening and a good week, and
see y'all next Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see you next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central, and that's everybody that wants to could. I'd say go over and see Roots and Refuge on their channel for their live stream here in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
Yep. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Thank you.